Okay, we're recording. Hi guys. Okay, so Alan, hi guys. We're going to manage the whole meetup in English because afterwards we're going to upload it. And welcome to the EOSphere meeting. I'm glad to have you here, guys. Is everyone familiar with EOS? What's EOS? Let's not start with what EOS, but today what we're the focus of our meetup is the EOS SisterChains, which are actually forks from EOS that are doing their kind of version of what they think EOS should be. So they fork the code, they have a new different change, and they have a different system of distributing the coins, of regulating block producers. We have a private EOS blockchain, which is Worbli. They're doing a financial district. We have Telos, an awesome experiment that Douglas is going to tell you all about. And Douglas is our first presenter. He's right here with us. And I am going to let Douglas now tell you all about Telos. So Douglas, welcome.
Hey.
How are you?
Oh, hey, thanks very much, Herman. Thank you, everybody. I really appreciate being here. Give me a thumbs up if we can hear.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, thank you. So it's nice getting to see your room as well. I have a question. Why even set out a first row of chairs? No one ever sits in the first row of chairs. Hey! Look at the presenter. All right, I like it. You guys are fun. Okay, so my name is Douglas Horn. I have my presentation up, so I encourage you to watch that instead of me, probably, because 15 minutes of me is going to be a lot. Okay, so I'm going to dive right in because I know we're tight on we have a tight schedule. Yeah. So thank you very much for having me. I'm very excited to speak with all of you. My name is Douglas Horn. I work at a company called GoodBlock. I'm the founder of that. And I want to talk to you today about Telos, which we think of as the on-ramp to third generation blockchain. And very excited about this. So let me kind of tell you what that means. So what is third generation blockchain? Well, I'm sure we're all, show of hands, who knows, I'm sure we're all kind of familiar with Ethereum, right? Bitcoin and Ethereum, right? All right, there's two of you are, good. We're in the right place. No, so Bitcoin is first generation blockchain. It's it's where it all came from. Ethereum is second generation blockchain, smart contracts, amazing things there. But there's also some impediments to people adopting it because while it's much faster than Bitcoin, it's still slow. It's 12 seconds per block, and those blocks are very clogged still. And so it's at capacity with a lot of transactions waiting in the mempool. So it doesn't react the way that computer users expect a computer program to react. It's much slower. Also, there's a fee for every single transaction for Ethereum and Ethereum-based blockchains. And there's capacity problems. So Dan Larimer came up with a new, and Block One came up with EOS.io, which is a third generation blockchain. And sort of the big reasons why this is exciting is instead of 12 seconds or 8 seconds that Ethereum is going to go to as their block time, it's going to be a half second per block, very fast. There's no per transaction fee, so you don't have to figure out your gas or whatever. And the capacity is massive compared to what any second generation blockchains can happen. So we don't have to worry about clogged mempools and blocks. And instead of having just everything stored in addresses with hexadecimal keys, we have actual accounts that have user-friendly names, and you can change the keys. All this is possible because of delegated proof of stake. That means that instead of 45,000 GPUs running a blockchain around the world, there are 21 very powerful high infrastructure validating nodes called block producers, or BPs, that run it. And it still maintains consensus. It's great, but because these are very fast and have good connections, we're able to get all these benefits. So when we talk about sister chains, what we mean are, because everything comes from, we'll do questions at the end. Thank you. Because everything comes from the same reference software, the EOS.io, there are a lot of compatibilities between these. So EOS and Telos both took the EOS.io software and forked it and made their own versions, right? So they each of them have their own Genesis key, just Genesis block and path, and each of them have their own token. So they're called sister chains. It's a method of horizontal scaling to even further expand what we can do with the EOS.io capacity. And there can even be something called side chains, if you hear about those, that are run per chain and further expand horizontal capacity scaling. So because they have the similar high speed and feeless transactions and everything, we're very hopeful that they will actually be able to interact with each other through what we call IBC, or inter-blockchain communication. So there's great potential to even further do this. So when I say that we have massive capacity, what does that mean? Well, EOS.io, this is Blocktivity. Blocktivity is a site that you can go to and that tracks major blockchains. EOS, Telos, Wax are all EOS.io blockchains. And when Worbli and Boss and Bios and when all these others join, they will also populate the top of Blocktivity. BitShare, interestingly, BitShares and Steam are earlier versions of DPoS, earlier incarnations, and then below that we get to Bitcoin and Ethereum and everything else. So this is massive. If you look at the details for the last week, I took these slides last night. My time, it's morning, so I took these slides within 12 hours. You can see that EOS just dominates the transactions, and then if you add EOS, Telos, and Wax, you've got basically 90% of all the transactions that happened in blockchain that Blocktivity is measuring. So truly massive. So how does Telos fit into this? Well, Telos, it wants to offer the power of EOS.io, but in an even more developer-friendly, decentralized public blockchain. I'll tell you what that means in a minute. So we feel that Telos is the ideal EOS.io chain for any new apps or dApps. I call them apps because I want to encourage users, and I think that, but what I'm talking about is dApps. Or dApps. So for any new apps to deploy, and it's because of our tokenomics and also additional developer advantages of the Telos code. But fortunately, Telos is 100% code compatible with EOS. So you develop for one, you can deploy it on the other. You have choices, and it will be compatible with any other public decentralized EOS.io blockchains that emerge, and there will be many, I think. But Telos is running right now. So how can Telos have advantages? Well, it becomes the fact that I'm sure we all know there's no such thing as a free lunch, right? And these advantages of EOS.io must come at some cost, right? Somebody has to be paid to run the network. And in fact, what happens is because you have to buy tokens and stake them to reserve your net and CPU, it actually pushes the cost of running an app from users to developers. So if you are an Ethereum developer, you don't really have to you have your users will be paying the cost, the per transaction cost of using your app. As a developer on EOS.io, you need to have some staked resources, and so it pushes the cost onto you, and so it becomes an impediment. And you also have to purchase RAM. The way that these things move so quickly is that all state is stored in RAM that each of these block producers has. So these are just necessary trade-offs for the speed and transaction capacity and everything, but they can be prohibitive. I think these are some of the things that are keeping developers from moving from Ethereum. And so Telos, we at GoodBlock are developers ourselves, and we wanted to look at this from an app developer standpoint and say, how do we create an on-ramp and get around these things? So what we launched our own chain. We cut the token supply by 1/3, which means each Telos buys the same resources as at least 3 EOS. It's very favorably priced right now, which we'll see. If some people might be aware that there were some RAM speculation problems on EOS that we managed to address, and our price of RAM is extremely stable. And also, user accounts on EOS, they come at a cost. And Telos has made. We promised to make the first 1 million new user accounts free, and in fact, we've set aside enough to do 2 million free. So that's really going to actually help quite a bit. So Telos grew out of concerns that some people have read about the EOS plutocracy. So what we did is, because you had, or in early days, you had 1.6% of the EOS accounts holding 90% of the EOS tokens, and because we have a situation where basically two parties are able to control 25%. That was one is Block 1, which has 10% and is not currently voting. Another is a consortium of Chinese whales that have 15% and are voting. So that's amazing centralization. We wanted to change that so that the governance would work. So we capped accounts, and that means that we reduced, by capping 1,100 accounts at 40,000, we were able to reduce the token supply by 2/3, which is kind of amazing. And as a result, Telos actually became the world's most economically decentralized blockchain. So up here we have, like most blockchains, you come up here and you've got a few whales that have all of it, and then all the rest of us are somewhere on here, right? On Telos, you've got a few whales, but not that many. So this would represent the people who have like 40,000 in their account, who used to be up here, and the rest is everyone. So it's sort of a middle class blockchain, which is important because of how we vote. I'm very proud of that. So this voting allows Telos to actually have users determine the growth for the chain. So we have fair and equitable voting for block producers. We defund future development through worker proposals that are voted by users. Users can also vote and propose government amendments, and dispute resolution is through user elected arbitrators. So this is a user driven thing. So let's talk, but I know that app developers care about cost. So let's look at, these are real figures as of yesterday. If you want to deploy a medium level app, you might need about 90 seconds of CPU. By the way, these resources regenerate every 3 days. You don't lose, they don't consume your staking. Your staked tokens, but so you receive a certain allotment, and that's what you're staking for. So right now, if you wanted to have something that had 90 seconds of CPU time for 3 days, 1 gigabyte of bandwidth, and 100 megabytes of RAM, the costs are here, right? So it would cost, to deploy this today in US dollar terms, it would cost about $23,000 for your resources. On EOS and on Telos, it would cost about less than $900. So there's a 25 to 30 times price improvement. So even if we get over EOS, so even if Telos does a 10x or 20x, it's still going to be more cost effective. And then when you factor in wanting to onboard, let's say you wanted to onboard 20,000 users and you had to bear the cost of that, that really, the fact that Telos has free accounts for users is a huge benefit. So running at these costs, then surely the network can't be as fast, right? Well, how can something be so much less expensive to deploy on, and there must be some problem somewhere? Well, there's not. So this is a chart that shows that the CPU benchmark standard in the industry, but from Aloha EOS, and you can see over here is EOS, the EOS blockchain for the last 7 days, as of about 12 hours ago. There were 23 block producers produced in the last 7 days. 21 of them were running at the under 2 milliseconds CPU on this test. During the exact same period, there were 34 BPs producing on the Telos blockchain. That has to do with the security and resiliency feature that we have added, where all standbys are tested regularly. So we bring them in, and 29 of them were consistently under 2 milliseconds. So these are very comparable. You're getting the same network, right? So one of the things that's very excited about Telos is that we have our own core developers. Block 1 releases the EOS.io reference code that both EOS and Telos and Worbli and any other forked EOS chains can use, and we stay up to date on that. But we have our own development group, a significant amount of development. EOSphere has about two developers. We have about 20 developers around the world, and we do a significant amount of our own development, which brings in new features. And these are selected and paid for through user-voted worker proposals. So the chain grows the way that users want. And this has led to many Telos-only features. So while we're 100% code compatible, there's also some extra features. And these are advantages for developers. I'm going to go through these pretty quickly. One is we have a robust system of voting functions. If your app needs any kind of voting, if your app needs any kind of voting at all, it's already built into Telos, and it's standard throughout the system. So you can do regular elections, you can do leaderboard elections, which is if you have 20 people running for 5 seats. You can do yes/no issue voting. You can have throw in quorums, runoffs, thresholds. Everything is already built into the system. You just have to implement them. That's a huge savings. And also that means that the tooling is also there for your, you don't have to convince wallet makers or portals to add your tooling. It's already there in Squirrel Wallet and others. Here's another one, IPFS. So IPFS, Interplanetary File System. It's like the hard drive for blockchain. So it's a decentralized file storage. Telos is already using this. We've already implemented this, and we are they were the first chain to do so, and we are preparing to roll this out for all users and apps to use. So you would have a way to store your game assets or your documents or your music or whatever on IPFS on decentralized way at about 1/10,000th to 1/100,000th of the cost of using RAM. And we have added, and we're developers, so we know what developers want. So we've preserved metadata, which IPFS typically doesn't do, so that if you're streaming a video, it knows that it's a video, and it knows what the resolution and bitrate and codec are and things like that. So these are really important advantages right now only on Telos, and for the foreseeable future actually will only be on Telos. Free user accounts that I mentioned, very important. So we've reserved funds for 2 million accounts. And these are not just through they're through approved portals, but any app can become an approved portal. So if you want to onboard, you start your app and you want to onboard 50,000 users, great. You don't have to pay for that. You just have to be whitelisted on the contract that accesses these funds, which is very easy. All you have to do is show that you're preventing abuse, and you're there. That's a huge cost savings, and that means that when you onboard your users, they are coming to Telos through your app, and so there's a lot of loyalty build there. So another one real quick is we're doing a essentially monthly snapshot service. So we capture snapshot every 6 million blocks. It's written on the chain as tables, and you don't have to, no developers have to put their own RAM or cost into that. It's there as a system resource, also paid for by the Telos Foundation. And speaking of the Telos Foundation, we want to further reduce the costs of resources. So the Telos Foundation actually gives RAM grants to new apps deploying on Telos to handle some or all of your RAM costs to further defray the cost of deploying. And my company, GoodBlock, we took our token because we started this chain by cutting everyone's tokens, and then we got a big chunk. We have put those into a fund of 5 million Telos that are staked for at least the next 2 years to stake the net and CPU costs for just about any new apps coming on to Telos for their first year. The idea is you don't have to have those to come on. We want to make it just like the same cost as coming onto Ethereum, but you come onto a blockchain that's a 3rd generation blockchain. And after that year, then we can slowly taper you back into covering your own resources. So these things are going to make it make deploying on Telos very similar in cost to deploying on Ethereum. All right. So we did.
We got 2 more minutes?
Yes.
We got 2 more minutes, Douglas.
Okay, great. Let me. I'm just about there, and then thank you. So we have really good user engagement. We found out in our first snapshot, we have 14% in less than a month. 14% of the accounts are already being used. That means 25. That comprises 25% of the user Telos. Really high engagement in 29 days. Even the accounts that we capped and stole tokens for in some people's minds, almost a fifth of those, about a fifth of those have already engaged in 29 days. It's pretty huge. We have 4 apps currently running. We have 4 more presently deploying token airdrops, and at least 8 more have been announced and more announced every day. So we feel like there's some resiliency. We also actually have better resiliency because we test all our standby VPs, but you can read about that later. I hope you'll look at Telos as a way to get all the advantages of 3rd generation blockchain without the costs. And it's a great way to deploy your app and then migrate to other chains, EOSIO chains, if you'd like. So I hope you'll consider building on Telos. TelosFoundation.io is where you want to go. And thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Douglas. Hey, so we really got to run, but I'm going to just ask you a couple of questions. What's the difference between GoodBlock and the Telos Foundation?
So GoodBlock is just my company. A lot of the developers work at GoodBlock, but we're a private company. We are also a block producer, and we are part of the Telos core developers. But the Telos Foundation is actually a apolitical foundation that exists to promote and support the chain. And so they do not vote. They have 6 million tokens, and they're doing things like helping us get listed on CoinMarketCap. Working with, we've reserved tokens for all the people who had EOS tokens on exchanges at the snapshot time, and they are working with them to work with exchanges to get those to their customers. They also do outreach and social media and things, so they're a great place to. hello@telosfoundation.io is a great place to go to get outreach and to find out more about Telos. I do want to mention there is a scam site out there that says telos-foundation.io, and do not use that. That is a scam. It's telosfoundation.io with no dash.
Yeah, we published that on our Twitter. And
thank you.
Does anyone have a question for Douglas?
Yeah, I have a question. The developments that you're doing, are they open source? Can they be deployed to the EOS mainnet?
Yes, 100% open source. Even though the EOS.io license agreement allows things to remain closed source, we do 100% open source. We hope that they will be deployed, but many of these things that we've done are unlikely to be deployed anytime soon. Yeah, and I think that because we have our own development team, we will always be on the leading edge of these developments.
Okay.
I don't have a question. I just wanted to say hi, Chezi from Telos Green.
He's a
Hey, how's it going?
Great.
So, Douglas, I want to thank you very much for being here and for explaining us all about Telos. And we're going to get into Telos and know more. And now that we get to know you, it's always great to know the people behind the project. And we embrace you as a sister chain. So thank you for being here.
Thank you. Yeah, we believe very strongly in EOS and Telos. Obviously there are advantages to both. We are the on-ramp, right? And in the EOS ecosystem, being able to get more people funneled in from Ethereum and other second generation blockchains is crucial function, and we hope to fulfill that. So, but we're very pro EOS, even though of course we talk about what the differences are.
what we are going to do is now introduce JC from EOS Force. Could you mute your microphone, Douglas? And
I will. Thank you so much. Thanks, everybody.
Yeah, you're welcome to stay. You're welcome to stay.
Bye-bye. Bye.
So, guys, I'm going to introduce you guys now another sister chain whose name is EOS Force. And JC is their communication manager. So, JC, can you hear us? Can you unmute your mic? Hi.
Hello there. Hello, everyone.
Hi, JC. Sorry we caught up a bit of your time, but you're good. So, how are you?
I'm doing pretty well. I'm streaming live from United States, Kentucky. It's snowing out there, and it's not a very pleasant place. But well, being here really makes me happy.
It's warm in here in the meetup.
Exactly. Yeah, I see you guys drinking beer earlier. That was awesome.
Tell us all about EOS Force. You got 50 minutes. Go.
All right, so let's go. So I think everyone nowadays in the blockchain industry, like including Douglas and Ross, pretty much know very well that there's a blockchain industry faces some major issues. And one of them being that the adoption of blockchain is really, really low. If you take a look at the number of developers actually developing on blockchain technology, you see it's the same group of people basically copying the decentralized applications from one blockchain ecosystem to another. Like we have so many same type developers. They're developing on Tron, they're developing on BCH, they're developing on EOS. And if you've been to one of those EOS global hackathons, you'll notice that many of the applications actually are not of the highest quality. So I think that's we at EOS Force believe that's one of the issues that need to be addressed. And also I think there's another issue which is that simply we don't have enough support for blockchain developers. And so I think that's one of the issues with blockchain industry is because it's such an early technology, emerging field, we do not have sufficient resources that help the developers to gradually move on to developing on blockchain. So that's the two issues facing the blockchain industry. And if we take a look only on the EOS IO platform, I think the issue there are another two issues. The first is governance system, right? And the second is the resource models. The governance system is basically all communities all across the world. They coming together, they produce blogs, they foster discussions to make the ecosystem better. And the second part, the resource model, is what makes it consists of a RAM, NET, net resources, and these are the ones that basically determine the speed of the network. If the resources are in shortage, then the network is going to be really slow, and the usability of the network is going to drop to zero. So, and that's one of the issues facing EOS IO right now is that the resource price is so high. I think Douglas mentioned that a bit earlier, but overall, these are the four issues facing the blockchain industry and the EOS IO blockchain ecosystem as a whole. So right now, I just want to give you guys a brief look on how we at EOS Force plan to address these problems and where we're going to do and where we come from. All right, let me share the screen here. Share the screen.
JC, sorry, have you got a presentation you want to show us?
Yes. Is it on?
Okay. Yes, I'm going to focus it. Yeah, you're good. You're good. We're seeing you now.
Okay, you seeing the screen?
Yep, we see the screen now.
Awesome.
Great.
So we at EOS Force, we have four main features we'd like to introduce to all of you. Obviously, sister chains on the EOS IO ecosystem are all different, and we are just going to let you guys know what exactly make us unique in the whole ecosystem. What makes EOS Force Mainnet different from all others? So first of all, we have this feature and service called one-click blockchain launch. And what that means is any developer, if you are a blockchain developer, perfect. But if you are a developer from just a regular software engineer, if you come to our platform and want to launch, say, an application, you can use our service to launch a blockchain specifically for your application, for your decentralized application. So that's our first feature. And what that solves is it really helps address the resource problems that are plaguing the current EOS blockchain. You know, the resource price is so high, and the network congestion is, happens so very often. But if you have your own blockchain, then there will be no problem with resources, right? And actually, if you take a look at the existing most popular EOS-based applications, applications like social media platforms Ono, which has over 5 million users, making it one of the most popular, actually mass adopted applications on EOS, they are a private blockchain, meaning they have their blockchain for their own, so for their own application. So that's the model we're trying to follow. Okay, so that's the first one. And the second one is we have an easy to use resource model. So what we do here on EOS Force Mainnet is we get rid of the RAM buying resource model and the NET CPU resource model. Instead, we place a really foolproof RAM rental model. So you don't have to worry about having no CPU for your next transaction, and you have to buy 50 or 80 bucks of EOS tokens and transfer them to your account and then make your transaction. You don't have to worry about it. All you need to do is to pay a small transaction fee. So that solved our network congestion problems completely. We'll touch on that later. And the third feature of ours is that we have a 90% plus voter participation. You know, when it comes to blockchain, one of the most distinguished features of blockchain technology is it's decentralized. It has all sorts of decentralized communities participating in the blockchain, in the ecosystem. And our voter participation is really high, it's 90% plus. Compared to 40% plus voter participation on EOS blockchain, that's a major upgrade. We are going to tell you guys how we achieve that later. And the final part is we are building a inter-blockchain communications network. So different blockchains will be able to communicate with each other using the EOS Force software. So then we'll touch that in detail later. All right. So let's first talk about the governance model, how we really help everyone participate in the network. First of all, you guys all know that if you've been paying attention to the recent news in the EOS IO ecosystem, you know that Brandon Bloomer, the CEO of Block One, the company that created EOS IO software, has been talking about maybe adding some features such as giving voters incentive to vote, to participate, simply because the current voter participation rate on EOS blockchain is so low that it's basically just monopolized by the top, EOS token whale holders. And so we introduced that first. Honestly, many of the features that are new in the EOS IO ecosystem, we've had that since the beginning, right? And the second feature we have is one token, one vote model. So basically, with one token, you can only vote for one block producer. So that prevents PvP cartel. EOS Force is located in China, so we have really good connections. We've talked to all of the block producers that are in the Chinese block producers that are in the top 21 block producer ranking. We've talked to all of them, and we know how the one token 30 vote model works and what that's done to the ecosystem. So we don't want to repeat the mistake that's happening on EOS blockchain. So we have changed it from one token 30 vote to one token 1 vote. And with these two features, we've achieved over 90% plus network voting participation. If you take a look at how many votes are being cast right now in the EOS network, it's going to be over 90%. Later, we're going to show you guys this statistics. So with such voter participation, we have a really active community, and we've been growing. We've been featured in many videos by many independent blockchain media such as EOS Weekly. I think they did a feature episode on us. This is the Telos rising in the West, but they talked about how basically EOS Force is also rising in the EOS IO ecosystem. So that's our governance model, one token, one vote, and we give voter incentive. So basically, when you sleep, as long as you've voted in the network, you get passive income as a token holder. I think that's going to be huge. The idea of passive income is really coming into being And we are one of the first projects that introduced the idea into the ecosystem, and we are really proud of that. So next one, let's talk about, let's see. Right, so let's talk about our resource model. What makes EOS Force so fast and so easy to use for developers and regular users? So users pay for CPU and net resources with trans fee for each action in the transfer. That's each time you make a transaction on EOS Force, the transaction will automatically deduct a small transaction fee from your account balance. So you don't have to worry about paying that as you would on EOS blockchain. So what this does is we successfully, to a large extent, eliminated DDoS attack. And also CPU holders, if you know, there are some notorious EOS accounts that basically have massive amounts of CPU. So what they've done is they've made themselves like a CPU bank. If you want CPU, if you're a developer, you don't have the resources, you come to us, we will sell you the CPU. And that's why EOS blockchain has been congested so many times. And instead, what we do is we have a rental model for RAM. You only need to pay for the RAM that you need, and that way RAM price speculation is eliminated. If you remember, at the early stage of the launch after EOS blockchain, the RAM price was so high that it was impossible for anyone to develop on it. So we've eliminated a RAM price speculation, and for every transaction for developers and regular users, you only need to pay a transaction fee. And this is similar to the already mature model of on Ethereum and other blockchains. And so we give voters a dividend, and that way voters literally only need to pay for all of these resource cost with their voter dividend, and they will still have more dividends, more voter incentive in the form of tokens coming into their account as they vote. So that's how we eliminated the resource of developing on blockchain problem. So developer friendly, let's see. And so we will do some blockchain development tutorials to open up to more developers on how exactly you can develop on EOS blockchain and EOS Force. Let's see. So let's talk about our multi-chain architecture, that is inter-blockchain communications. So we are still in the early stages of our inter-blockchain communications architecture. But the model we have proposed, we've researched projects such as Polkadot, and if you guys have been paying attention, Boscore, they've proposed their model as well. But we are actually the first one to propose such, with a relay chain model. And so we will have a relay chain as a transaction bridge between the mainnet, EOS mainnet blockchain, and the side chains. Earlier we mentioned a little bit how you can launch your own blockchain on EOS Force mainnet. Okay, I'm good with time. So on EOS mainnet, if you're a developer, you can use our service to launch your blockchain for free and for your own application. So those will be the side chains growing on the side of the EOS Force mainnet, right? So we will have our relay chain ready for to connect all of those blockchains together into the EOS Force mainnet and interconnect them in between. So this is how we basically are going to achieve it. Our engineering team is really good. Let's see. So also the relay chain will be decentralized as well. It'll be on a DPoS model, the dedicated proof of stake. You will be governed by the community, and we can also custom design the blockchain that you launch for yourself. It's going to be on DPoS, that's going to be for sure. But if you want to change the governance model, change the resource model, or change the incentive model, the one-click launch service will take care of that. You can easily launch your blockchain with our service. It's called Force.io. We have a website ready, but there's going to be more features added onto that. I will share with you guys. I will share with Hernan later, and he can share it with you guys. So these are some of our applications. We have about 12 decentralized applications running on our network, and you can access most of them with our partner Math Wallet. They are a really competitive wallet in the blockchain industry. they are I think the only single multi-chain wallet, math wallet. So I will attach the link later. So Ubuntu Energy Ledger is a project that we did together with EOS Nairobi. They were really cooperative in terms of developing dApps. And this is our philanthropy project waiting for you. And it's all based on token economic incentives for the participants. So these are some of the block producers on our network. We have some really solid ones. We have Titan Force, which is backed by BCH community. You know BCH, Wuji Hans, Bitmain. We have support from a BCH community stemming out of Bitmain. So that's Titan Force, and we have some DHVC, which is one of the world's most famous VCs. So they have invested in Math Wallet, and they are a block producer on our network as well. And we also have Cindy Daily.io, and she was the founder of Cindy Daily, was a former Bitcoin.com news writer. She was really close with Roger Ver, if you're familiar with the name. So we have all these really solid networks. But recently, we are really proud that we have had so many international participants, like EOSphere. Ross is here, and he can talk to you about that later. And we have EOS Sweden. We have Force Afrique, which is EOS Nairobi. We have Korea's largest EOS blockchain community, Korea's EOS. They are a block producer on our network as well. They are not a block producer on EOS blockchain, but they are a BP on our network. And also we have Telos Central, and they have a BP on our network as well. So we are really focused on the community. So I think so far you've pretty much kind of got a sense of what EOS really focuses on. We focus on the community, right? We have voter incentive. We give voters tokens for a reward for their voting participation. And our resource model is really developer friendly, and you can launch your blockchain service. So we are really trying to face the future because single chain in the future will not be enough. There's no way that all of the blockchain applications can be run smoothly on the EOS blockchain. Each application needs their own blockchain. If we take a look at the successful example, we have Everipedia, they have their own blockchain. We have Ono, they have their own blockchain. So we need to give the developers the ability to launch their own blockchain for their own application, and that's what we're doing. So I think many of these communities having seen what we are doing, our vision, agree with us on where the blockchain is heading, and that's why they joined. So we are really glad that our international community, and especially coming here today with all of you guys from Israel, I think this is really a good chance for us to get to know where the blockchain is heading next. And I'm really glad that I have this opportunity to converse with the Israeli community of the EOS. So this is a dApp developer contest we held earlier in October, and we had 67 projects building dApps, and currently we have about 20 projects, decentralized application under development. So all of this is going to be on EOS Force mainnet.
JC, 2 minutes?
Okay, I gotcha. So when it comes to decentralized dApps, like this is our motto. If you want to develop more than just gambling dApps, which are the predominant form of decentralized application on EOS blockchain, I think we think you should come to EOS Force. We just have better resource models, better communities, better blockchain launch services. You can count on all of that. And also, of course, IBC, blockchain communication, when that gets done, I think that's going to get huge. So how to activate about EOSC token? Because we got known relatively late in the Western communities of the EOS. So many of you might not be familiar with who we are. So really what you can do is you go on to our Explorer, and then you search your snapshot, and you go to snapshot, and then you search up your EOS Genesis key, because our EOSC token distribution is in full accordance with the original EOS token distribution, right? So you search up the key and you use scatter to activate, and that's how you get yours. Early in Christmas, we did an event where if you activate your EOS Force account now, you'll get like 300 USC bonus. And but if you do that now and you enter our Telegram and let me know, I will give you the bonuses after you activate your Genesis account. So this is our Twitter account. Follow us on Twitter, EOS Force, and our let's see, sorry, and our Telegram group. I'll post it here for you. So this is how you can contact us. Our official website is eosforce.io. See us, follow us on Twitter, enter our Telegram group. We have some really passionate community members. Like they just post suggestions, argue about governance issues all the time. And if you want to take a look at our full history of articles and information, go on to our Medium account at eosforce.io. So yeah, if you're a developer, take a look at our GitHub. We're really proud of our engineering and brain power. So take a look there, see how we made all these changes on EOS IO software. We are completely different. Our software is completely different from EOS IO now. So yeah, take a look. All right, thank you guys. Let me know if you have any questions.
Thank you very much, JC.
Thank you.
So JC, I got a question. So are you guys like a private company? Are you a foundation for the EOS Force? What's in it for you guys?
Yeah, so we are a private company, and so we used pretty much similar to other sister chains. We used the EOS IO software, and so what we're trying to do is we don't want to repeat what EOS IO has already done. We want to build on services. So I think what we are trying to get in the future as a return of our effort is when developers develop their applications using our models, using our services, and then we will have a heavier stake in the ecosystem. Did
you allocate a specific amount of EOS Force different to the ones you have in the original EOS account to you guys? How does that work?
So currently all of the whale accounts basically will be locked soon, and there's a community discussion right now, and theirs will be locked, and we have about 100 million EOS tokens for the team, and that's locked as well. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you say you're based on the Genesis blockchain, the Genesis snapshot for any EOS token holder. So what it means, guys, is that any EOS token holder that held EOS before the 1st of June, right?
That's right. If you have EOS tokens, you should have at the time of the blockchain launched in June, you should have your EOSC tokens on EOS Force mainnet.
Okay. Anyone has a question for JC in EOS Force? No.
Is EOSC also used in those private blockchains that you can launch through the force.io?
Once you use the EOSC token to develop your own blockchain, you have your own tokens. You will be under your control, community's control. Yes.
Okay. Okay. So listen, JC, thank you very much for being here. We really appreciate it, and we hope what we want to do now is Ross, are you with us? Can we pass to you?
Okay,
yes,
one more thing to chip in. Harlan, let's do an airdrop to the community. How's that after this?
That'd be awesome. That'd be awesome. Yeah. We love free tokens. Give us some.
Absolutely.
So give us some.
All right, let's chat afterwards. Thank you for having me, Harlan.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So we're getting free tokens. So Ross, you available? Thank you, JC. Welcome to stay. If you can mute your phone. So guys.
Okay.
This is our most beloved blog producers from Australia. Here's Ross. Ross, you want to introduce yourself, or you want to jump right into EOSphere?
Oh no, I'll introduce myself as I go through it. Can you see my slides?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can. We can see them perfect. Thank you.
Okay. All right, perfect. Hey, I can't believe it. I finally made it to one of the legendary Israel meetups. Thanks for having me here. My name is Ross Dold. I'm the founder of EOSphere. EOSphere are a block producer, starting off initially on EOS Mainnet all the way back in January 2018. So we've been at it for a year now. And although we're based in Australia, our core mantra is to serve the entire EOSphere. That is the name of our brand. It's global. It's every community member. It's everything to do with the EOSIO platform. We are certainly all about adoption of EOSIO as a platform of choice. And we are very passionate about demonstrating EOS.io as a business-friendly platform for applications and services to be deployed on. Hopefully, as we go through my slide deck, it won't be a snooze fest, because this is the BP Spotlight, and we are going to be talking about us as a block producer, and hopefully the message will come across. Okay, so let me tell you a little bit about our team. So at EOSphere itself is a Australian registered company, Pty Ltd, that is joint ownership between my wife, Shelley, and myself. And it's made up of numerous community team members, infrastructure managers, blockchain developers. So you can see that Simon, Matthew, and Chris, they all came directly from our EOS community. And John and Mark built our EOS voter portal, and John works with me on the infrastructure. Shelley is the other partner. She does a lot of the brand management and obviously makes the business decisions. And I'm like the general guy that kind of gets involved with everything, right? And pretty much runs the operation of the business. Recently, we launched a side business. Well, I'm not going to say it's a fork of our business because it runs in parallel with us, which is EOSphere Dev. That's headed up by Torben Anderson, who is the COO, and Brendan Ross, who is the blockchain engineer and a startup expert. At this point, we are busy doing development on EOS Mainnet and on Telos, as Doug alluded to. And yes, it's not just development, it's project management, organizational change management, and lots of consulting. And I mean lots, because everybody wants a piece of blockchain. It's our job to advise them, where a blockchain can assist them, or where, no, you don't want that on a blockchain, guy. So, we're not just hell-bent on getting projects, we're hell-bent on getting successful projects.
Ross, it's worth mentioning that we have a partnership with EOSphere Dev here in EOS Israel. So any developer that wants to get into the development of EOS smart contracts and apps, we have an open door with EOSphere Dev that we can work on projects together, and that would be that's also worth mentioning.
It's actually really exciting. Maybe I should mention the reason why we even started off with EOSphere Dev is we realized that as block producers on the EOS mainnet, that we have contact with all of these idea people, all these thinkers, all these developers, all these real world businesses that need some guidance. And we're meeting them all the time. Why can't we be that conduit? And it just started off first by just consulting, and now we're running full blown projects and actually rolling out applications. So watch this space. More will be coming in the future, more announcements, and hopefully we'll bring some real world adoption. Yes, we did. So as a block producer, at like a base layer, it's your responsibility to produce blocks, and that requires infrastructure. It's also your responsibility to participate in the governance, especially if you are actually signing their blocks. So infrastructure and governance are like base layer. And we've had an interesting journey with our infrastructure. We started off originally in Amazon Web Services, so otherwise known as cloud. We had plans to use the Google Cloud Platform, but we didn't. And that was pretty good. Hey? AWS has been great for us over the last year. However, it can get quite pricey, and when you start requiring the level of performance that EOS Mainnet requires at the moment, it's time to step it up, and we need a bit of bare metal. So I don't know if anybody here follows us, but we just recently completed our migration to our own 2 data centers that are in Sydney. They are geographically separate data centers where we're running bare metal, and we're running industry best practice and the right kind of equipment. There's a little diagram I made just kind of showing you what it looks like compared to, okay, look, the guy that did the original diagram, he was really good with the Visio. Mine's more of a functional diagram, where the other one is more of like a, hey, look how pretty it's going to be. Yeah, ours is pretty functional.
We will imagine it in 3D, Ross, don't worry.
Imagine it in 3D with blinking, flashing lights, right? There is segregation between our chains that we run, and there's excellent security. We've got fantastic management. There's our internal Grafana management dashboard. I know it's really, really tiny, but that's all the telemetry and statistics from each of our nodes and chains that we are running. Moving across from Amazon through to running our own bare metal, Nodius really, really likes to run on bare metal. And as you can see, that's the latency, as it's, you know, it's literally 1/3 of the latency as we moved across. That's us running on Jungle testnet. And then that's us running with all the other guys on Jungle. You can see down on the bottom right that our performance is you know, above 50% of the nodes that are currently running on that chain. So, you know, that's our infrastructure journey so far. I thought it'd be good for us to mention the sister chains, right? So EOSphere started off with running EOSphere and Mainnet only. And to be honest, Mainnet is still absolutely our priority. But Mainnet is a big beast. It is a beast that is quite expensive. And it's a beast that requires quite a lot of consensus to change anything or even to test anything. You can only do so much on test nets. So it made us look at some of the sister chains that we're running. Some really, really excellent ideas. You would have heard some of the stuff that Douglas said. You would have heard some of the stuff that JC said. And let me tell you, being someone, a block producer that runs on multiple nets, that couldn't be different from each other. The communities are different. The technology is different. It's all built from EOS.io, right? But everybody's got a different spin of it. And I think that us as EOSphere are actually stronger for participating in all these nodes. You know, we get some excellent experience. We certainly get to meet some of the most brilliant and technically minded people in the industry. And yeah, you know, hopefully we get to a point where all of these cool features, the ones that work, we can share them amongst all the chains, and you know, we can be stronger for an EOS.io ecosystem. So at this point, we've actually got more than 4. So as I said, we started off with EOS. EOS obviously has got its merits. It's where everything is built from. Then we moved across to Worbli, which is more of a financial services network. Interesting thing on Worbli is we're not actually elected. We actually contracted to Worbli as the organization. So it's not really a consensus of the community about who actually runs or signs any of the blocks, any of the changes. It's more run out of Worbli. Telos, you just heard an excellent overview from Douglas. That's been a great community, and you know, it's one that we're quite happy to be developing on. EOS Force, JC, great overview. Wow, that was an excellent experience for us. Meeting all of the Chinese block producers. That community has been so open arms to us. I think because everything gets translated into English for myself and John when we're in the meetings, I think the meetings are double the length of time. And you know, we appreciate you going out of your way to make sure that I do understand what's going on. And it's been great so far. EOSphere is an interesting one. That one we joined up a Boss core where our block producer name is EOSphere IOBP. It's been an interesting one where we joined because there was definitely a lot of technical innovation that was happening. And yeah, at this point, it appears to be an interesting one for us to carry on being involved in. And just of late, you know, we've always had a very good relationship with Meet.1. We actually participate in their wallet program. And Meet.1 has got a very, very big footprint as far as use of their wallet, somewhere over 80,000 users. So Meet.1 will be launching a chain. At the moment, we're running a testnet. And, you know, hopefully we'll be able to bring new users to the EOS.io ecosystem through the wallet that is definitely more games focused and interaction focused with, you know, I don't know what you would call it, like the kids that like to use on their phones, definitely more of a, you know, an engaging game type platform. And yeah, you know, diversity, app development, adoption, you know, welcome to our EOSphere, because that's what we're all about. We're all about making blockchain dreams come true, where we can actually see some of the excellent ideas being launched on technology that can actually deliver. So that is our sister chains and the infrastructure, but we also support a whole lot of dApps. And Fred, you're gonna love this. I'll put you up there first. We like to think that we support the best apps and services on the network. What does support, what does being a partner mean? Well, it can mean many things. It can mean participating in their community. It can mean participating in their team. It can mean staking resources through to their smart contract. It can mean running infrastructure for them. And it can mean us sponsoring them financially, especially community-led or community beneficial applications, such as that are built from the community. And we want developers to code on EOS.io, and we want people to use it and adopt it. So we've got an excellent relationship with PixEOS. Emanate, one of the first partners that we joined with. I know Hernan, you must have spoken about them a bit. Emanate.
Yeah, they were the first DApp that we presented here in our meetup.
Yeah. So I'm actually the CTO at Emanate at the moment, at least acting CTO. We do a lot of work with them. SignalX is a new project coming out, and I don't even know if Jonathan is happy with me talking about it, but watch this space. We partners with them. We sponsor my EOS wallet, the one that was built by Altship Dev, the one that uses hardware wallets. Tribe social media, we are partners with. Chintai, the token leasing platform, now about to go to version 2, where it's going to integrate Rex into the platform itself. We are sponsors and members of that board. Yes, we have a gambling DApp that is part of our sponsorship, and we are partners with DAS, where we participate in the community. Like I said, Meet One, we participate in their wallet program. And Boyd, which is launching for the new season. Boyd, if you didn't know, you can use your CPU resources in order to do cancer research. So it's almost like mining, right? Except that it's not just to generate a hash, it's to actually do some cancer research, and you can win some tokens. You can actually join different teams. There's some competitions that go on. It's a little bit of fun. And you know what? It's an excellent community service, because we need people to assist with that distributed computing in order to solve some of those cancer, genetic, complicated computer problems that they're busy.
The EOS Israel Boyd team is being built as we speak. So
no, man, I'm trying to get people onto my team.
we're only a few EOS holders in Israel. Live to me, man.
Yeah. ProxyBot, an Australian project where there's a robot that you can control via the Telos blockchain. It's really, really fun. I suggest you have a look at it. Plaque, which is one of our new partnerships, which is going to be a hardware wallet that's got biometrics and near-field communication, so that you can use it to pay for products, right? It's a new one for us. The development is still ongoing, but watch this space. CoinFlow, which is an excellent mechanism for you to make sure your tax return is sorted, depending on how much moves and changes you have as far as capital gains in your crypto portfolio. RMIT blockchain, and I was going to say this to you earlier, JC. RMIT have also got a blockchain governance program that they run here in Melbourne, and we've been partners with them from the beginning in like March last year. PixEOS is a new one, which is a GDPR compliant file transfer and data transfer across the internet. And 0x Warriors, which is a fun game that we participate in the community. They're actually running on Tron as well. They've actually got a Tron sale as well, but they're doing EOS, so they kind of like hedge their bets. But what I know that I just threw up a whole lot of partnerships, but what I wanted to say to you is that we actually work with these excellent applications and services in order to make sure that they get their messaging right. We help them to make it as frictionless as possible for them to actually be successful and bring the adoption on the EOSi network. And then, of course, what makes a good block producer? Community initiatives. We run meetups across Australia. We produce technical content and put that up onto YouTube. We run discussions. That's actually us with RMIT there, JC. That was in Melbourne last month, and that's Chris Pollard, our governance expert. Thomas Cox was also part of that. There's our engagement there. Emanate, that's us at Blockchain Live in London. Obviously, we participated in the launch. We participate in multiple launches, and there's another Zoom. And we're quite proud that one of the partners in the business is a woman, right? So we're very conscious that women in EOS are an important thing. We sponsor all cool initiatives. There's us getting some fun for NS James, and there's our announcement when we were growing our team by bringing in community team members. We have 2 proxies. We have a proxy on Telos, which is good guys for Telos, and we have a proxy on EOS Mainnet, which is good guys for EOS. And it's all about making sure that the best block producers, especially ones that typically don't pick up all the exchange votes and all the cool votes, that they get looked after, right? Because there's so much talent out there and so many excellent block producers that just get forgotten about. So we go out of our way to make sure that those guys are brought to the front. And we do videos on them. We do articles on them, to bring everybody up to speed. We participated in the EOS Hackathon last year. That was really fun. We actually grabbed Emanate devs, and we brought Anya Nova from Power Ledger. So we had a little bit of a mixed bag there, right? If you don't know, Power Ledger are actually run on the EOS network, or at least their tokens on the EOS network. On the ETH network. And they're all about selling off your excess power, which is awesome. So we kind of brought together a little mixed bag and showcased the power of EOS. 2 minutes.
Ross, 2 minutes. 2 minutes, bro.
Yes, I'm going. Yes, and we do articles like there. We did an article on the top 10 EOS wallets. And wow, when I was trying to choose some stuff to put into a community initiative slide, we've actually got hundreds of things that we've done over the year. It is only a year, but wow, it feels like it's been 10 years. We've really accomplished a lot. We've really met a lot of people, and we like to think that we are excellent actors and the right kind of block producers that should be voted in on the EOS Mainnet and the other sister chains. So yeah, when the time comes for you guys to consider a block producer that you know will do right by you, please consider EOSphere. And we believe in creating a positive feedback loop. We're at position 63 at the moment. It's not like we're making a huge amount of money, but we definitely reinvest and educate and carry on the message as best as possible. And that's us. Hey, I made it. 15 minutes. I did it.
So just for you to know, you are one of the selected block producers of the EOS Israel EOS proxy. We're very proud of supporting you. I got one for you, Russ, because we ran out of time. You're all over the place. You're producing blocks for all the EOS blockchains that there are. You're sponsoring apps. You guys are all over the place. So first, how do you guys do it? And second, doesn't it kind of compromises your abilities to work as a block producer for the mainnet if you're working for all these other chains that you're supporting and producing blocks at? So could you go into details for that?
You know what it came down to? When we first launched, I tried to run EOSphere as a business, like a straight business. Like I am the manager of this team of people, and every single decision, every single message that goes out has to flow through a degree of, okay, the management says it's fine. It was Shelly that got this over the line with us, where we just said, you know what, we need community members on our team, and we need to bring the benefits that each of them have. Like they're all different kind of people. They have different opinions, and now we just let them speak their mind and run with initiatives and bring that kind of diversity to the team. And because of that, immediately we get better coverage. Immediately, suddenly it's easier for us to participate in multiple other communities. It's easy for us to engage with different blockchains. Like for instance, John. I mean, John is he does a lot of the work with EOS Force, right? It's not like John has to come talk to me about, you know, having a conversation with JC about, you know, making some changes on the GitHub, right? You know, he just does it. And I think that's what's making us strong, because of this diversity that we've got. Everybody's got their own special abilities, and we're just letting it roll with that. Yeah, I think that's the way we're keeping across it.
All right. Thank you very much, Ross. Thank you very much for being here and for dedicating us your time. We're rooting for you. We're rooting for you guys. So
thank you,
guys. Last but not least,
okay, Hernan, I just want to add something. I just want to say, comment on EOSphere. Like, they are probably the most respected and active EOS block producer community out there in the EOS IO ecosystem. Even though there are so many other block producers that are ranked higher in terms of ranking, but really, you would not regret if you vote for EOSphere, and making an appearance, making an effort to get themselves out there and with the community. I think that's something that we should really commend. So thank you, Ross.
I would second that. EOSphere has been an amazing partner with Telos. They were not on the launch group, but they came in shortly thereafter. They've been really great partners on Telos. They're now working on some really important development initiatives. And GoodBlock does back a proxy called Good Proxy on both EOS and Telos, and we vote for them on the EOS blockchain and on the Telos blockchain. So we believe the same thing. So can't say enough about the good work that Ross is doing.
Okay, guys, thank you very much. We're gonna get Domenic on the spot. He's short in time, and let's giving a bit of a. So, guys, Domenic, can you hear us? Can you?
Yeah, I'm here. Yeah, I'm here.
Great having you here. We don't see your image. You told me you're in the car.
Yeah, I'm driving to a meeting in Washington, D.C. I'm sorry for that. It kind of came up last minute.
Ross, could you mute your mic? Your mic. Okay. So we'll do with your audio, Domenic. It's a pleasure meeting you here, and let me see where I can.
Yeah, I appreciate that, and I would say we've worked with Ross. He was part of the original launch group for Worbli. A lot of the applications that he's working with are actually going to be coming to Worbli eventually. We've just spent a lot of time together. He's definitely one of the real outstanding actors in the entire ecosystem. Just a hell of a guy.
Yeah. Yes. So Domenic, please tell us all about Worbli, and let's let's get the conversation. Well, how would you like to start with it?
Sure. Yeah. So Worbli's a little bit different than most of the chains out there. We're more of an enterprise chain focused on financial services. So the real key and the kind of foundation of Worbli is a financial compliance. So all the users are AML KYC'd. All of the businesses are AML KYC'd and put through a corporate due diligence process before, including our block producers. It's really sort of 100% compliance across the chain, and so it's definitely different. We are primarily private at this stage for the most part, as far as how we're running things, and we're really kind of looking forward to being a more of a piece of infrastructure in the ESIO system, right? I think it was Sharif from EOS Dublin who kind of set us as the financial district of EOS. And with technologies like IBC and some of the other things that I know everybody here is working on, Douglas and Telos have done some just incredible work there. I'm not as familiar with EOS Force, but I know that everybody really wants the chains to become a web, really of like interlocking components. And that's, that was the design. I mean, we all know that was in the original vision of Dan and something that Block One's still working on. And we're working on it too. We're pursuing it. We've recently created some more partnerships in that space. So But that's really Worbli. You know, the financial district of EOS. We're working really hard to bring easy to use, you know, crypto fiat gateways and stuff like that to the ecosystem.
Domenic, could you tell us a bit about your first dApp that you're launching? I heard it's Token Oro.
Yeah, so Token Oro is a security token offering, and this is really one of the benefits of a financially compliant blockchain, that we can do these STOs. We've actually got 3 more now in process that we're taking a look at. We do a lot of work. I mean, we spent 3 months talking to Token Oro before we kind of gave the sign off on that deal, because, you know, it's a serious thing. I mean, these are securities offerings, right? And
Sure.
Traditionally, they've been IPOs. That's how they would do this, right? Or they'd go entirely private funding. But that's restricting. And if you want to just do a pure security offering, it can take a minimum 9 to 12 months for them to get certified. It costs anywhere from $1 to $2 million just in kind of attorneys and fees. So it's a big thing. And the other thing is that it's restricted, right? You know, regular people like us, we're not getting in on these IPOs until they hit the stock market. And if you know anything about how they work, they have to be attached to an investment bank, and the investment bank gets a cut, and they get preferred options, and the
Only accredited investors and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, you know, Token Oro at this stage, because we're still really building the infrastructure around Token Oro, it's only accredited investors for the next, you know, few months. But once we get the blockchain-based infrastructure in place, and we're talking to some broker-dealers that we're going to be working with that are going to help with these offerings, it should only take, you know, actually accredited, non-accredited investors should be able to participate almost right away in the future, rather than having to wait 9 to 12 months. So it's a big deal, and we're excited about it. So it's our first app, and it's not just an app for Token Oro. It's actually a security token offering platform. It's being built by EOS New York, who's just outstanding. And so, yeah, we're really excited.
That's awesome. So, Domenic, do you? It's a bit of an offside question, but do you guys see yourself like Worbli as offering maybe a competitive service to what we've seen Ripple offering in terms of global banking kind of transactions compliance system?
Well, I don't think we're like Ripple, because Ripple's really a kind of a currency, right? And yes, it can be used to. You know, I think they're more of a challenger to something like Swift, or at least they hope to be, which is where really most of the global sort of wire transfers occur. But we all know that that's a kind of a ridiculous process. I mean, we were trying to pay somebody in Europe from our U.S. company. It's just, you know, God, after being in blockchain most of the time and going back to that world and seeing how much money it costs and how long it took and how complicated it was, just, we were kind of like just going, what the hell, you know? And the person finally just said, just send me Bitcoin, you know, like, this is a joke. So, you know, with those types of systems, or like the remittance stuff, you know, I know Ripple's going after that market. I'd say in our analysis, Ripple's not that great at what they do. And I'm not sure they'll be as successful. I think we're finding out that they've oversold their partnerships with banks. There were some recent articles around that. But I'd say Worbli's not challenging Ripple, but we have an app coming that is far superior to Ripple.
That's awesome to hear. I think we're hearing it first here in EOS Israel.
Yeah, I shouldn't say an app. We have a project, because it's multiple apps.
Okay.
But it's pretty crazy. Unfortunately, I can't give much of a detail on it because I'm under a pretty strict NDA. However, it's pretty exciting, and we expect pieces of it to start launching in Q2, and the project to be kind of hopefully mostly deployed, most of the components of the project deployed by the end of June. But it's complicated, and it's very difficult to do things on this scale. We're talking, you know, a system that'll be able to move hundreds of billions of dollars, or potentially even trillions in the future. So it's a big deal.
Domenic, I want us to get now a bit deeper in our conversation, and could you explain us a bit of the pros and cons of running what was originally the kind of the decentralized software of EOS.io, running in a centralized fashion? And I know you've been getting a lot of heat from the community because you guys have taken like decisions of some sort, if it was a share drop or other decisions. And I know they come from your full right owning a private blockchain, or what are you guys supposed to do? But could you tell us more or less what is it to gain, and what is kind of the community there, the pros and cons of running the EOS.io softwares in a centralized fashion?
Yeah, well, I you know, it's definitely different, and I think it's challenging in the blockchain space, and especially in the EOS community, because we're kind of the only ones doing it that I'm aware of. I suppose Wax is in a way private, right? They're running their own EOS chain and have for a while for their gaming, you know, products and services. But it certainly gives us an advantage around being able to move quickly, certainly. Blockchain does have a very strong decentralization kind of DNA in it, a decentralized DNA, and I get that. I appreciate that. And I think that in the end, what we're all doing is trying to figure out what's the best way to deploy this technology, what's the best way to have actual real use cases. You know, what I love about the whole EOS community, no matter what some of our conflicts are, this is a community of builders, really, truly. You know, everybody's trying to launch useful stuff. Everybody's trying to get away from blockchain being just fluff, right? Just get it away from being a buzzword. And so running a private chain definitely has its advantages around, you know, being able to make quicker decisions and being able to make certain deals. You know, a lot of the applications and things that we have coming just can't launch on an entirely public decentralized chain. They can't deal with that type of potential uncertainty or, you know, compliance, for example. I mean, it could be voted in on Mainnet and everybody could follow the script of what Worbli's built on, but the problem with that is it could also be changed in a moment's notice. And so how can a business, right, really depend on that, right? How can they, you know, businesses want certainty, they want consistency, they want as much of that as they can get. So we're able to provide that. But yeah, it's whenever you're doing something different, there's going to be people that are, you know, not happy about it or are going to challenge it. But I bring it as a way to just keep learning, keep getting better. And my entire mindset about this is this sort of integrative approach, right? At the end of the day, there's going to be a ton of different ways that we deploy blockchain technology to make the world a better place. And so there's room for everybody in there.
Yeah, well, you know what they say, haters gonna hate, right?
Yeah, that's fine. I don't look at it too much. You know, look, I say this way, it's about passion, and I am glad to be a part of a community that's this passionate, that cares enough to get out there, make themselves heard. That's great for me. You know, it's you know, it can be hard to hear some of the harsh criticism at times, but hey, that's the deal, right? I'm the CEO of this thing, and I'm going to be the first one out of the cave to take a beating. You know, it's fine with me.
Comes with the territory. So,
yep.
Domenic, how does an EOS smart contract developer that we have a bunch in the community, how does one start developing for Worbli? Can we do it independently, or we need to first strike a deal with you guys?
No, you do need to come through our due diligence process because everything has to be compliant. That's the challenge with compliance. There is not partial compliance, right? It's a very black and white thing. You're compliant or you're not. So when developers approach us, we put them through our business development process. We have a very specific way that we do that. It starts with kind of assessing the business viability of the application. Do we think that they have a solid plan? We take a look at their sort of technical architecture. Do we think that they've got a good plan around that? You know, are they basically going to be able to achieve what they say they're trying to do? And we take a look at what their initial views are on security, because that's critical for us. we're kind of at a point where we're really focusing on a no hacks kind of policy. So we've got some third-party firms that will do things like penetration testing for these apps, that will do security code audits. You know, some of our block producers are involved in this.
Yeah.
And so it's a process, because at the end, though, you know, if the due diligence comes through positively, you know, we provide free RAM, so you don't have to worry about that. We provide lots of different resources to support apps once we feel confident that it's the right fit for what we're doing.
Great, that's awesome. Anyone has a question for Domenic Worbli? Domenic, I want to thank you very much for being here and dedicating us the time and explaining us about Worbli. Can you and me take maybe the conversation offline, and we'll try. I'll be very happy to tell you about some stuff that we're doing here in the community.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Would love to. And the Worbli Network Fund is going to be going live soon. One of the first projects is that we're going to create the project first and then allow the community to kind of bid on the projects. One of them is going to be creating our on-chain, taking the EOS.io forum software and creating a Worbli forums, which is the beginning of our governance journey, which will then allow the community to start submitting their own ideas of things they want to produce. So the Worbli Network Fund is going to go live here pretty soon. And that's also going to be an opportunity for devs to get involved, to grab projects, get some Worbli coins for their tokens for their trouble. Not coins, it's really not a coin at all, but and we'll also have our resource model that'll be coming out quite soon here. We feel that we've kind of nailed the Rex-like component of users that don't plan on launching an app but want to stake their tokens and kind of give their resources back to the chain. So look out for some of those things, and happy to take the conversation offline, Herman. And it's great to meet all of you guys, and I appreciate you having me. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for being here, Domenic. So, guys, this concludes our live stream part of the meetup. So I want to thank all of the participants, Ross, Douglas, JC, Domenic. I really appreciate your dedication for being here, and I'll see you guys soon, okay?
Thanks very much for having us. Thanks, everybody.
Bye, guys.
I was on mute. Cheers, everyone. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, JC. Bye.